Welcome to the Master Your Millions podcast, the show all about your financial potential and leaving a legacy for future generations. Here are your hosts, Jason and Scott Henderson.
Welcome back, everyone. This is part two of a two-part interview that we're having with Aaron Scott Young. And let's get right back into the interview. Again, that was eye-opening to me for the fact that sometimes people, even what Scott was asking earlier, is well, when do you know and who do you hire and how do you go about that? It's maybe you spend more time in really getting in the details of what the job description is, and then finding someone that can fit with that versus going out and finding a superstar and say, yeah, okay, hey, I want you to do this XYZ, and be too vague, and then that not being what they want nor what you want, and then it ends ugly.
Too many
where I was going with that too.
Oh yeah, keep going. Keep going. No, keep going.
Well, is that you have mentioned specificity or vision a couple of different times in different aspects, and you talk about that in your book too, where this vision, this getting into the details is crucial to be an unshackled owner. It's crucial to have a successful business. Yeah. Why is that so important, and how do you do that with your own business?
So I'll give you an example. If I I'm going to take one step back because this is what I was going to interject before you asked the question, and it's perfect because it still fits. Most small business owners, or even big business owners, hire somebody that they think is going to magically know better than them how to fix something that they are totally failing in. So if you're really great at delivering a service, but you are terrified or just suck at sales, you'll find somebody who you think is a salesperson and say, I'm going to hire you to do sales. Now go do sales. And you get 60 days down the road and you go, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I wanted. What's wrong with this guy? They're stealing my money. They're taking my money and they're not giving me what I wanted. But all you did was say, go sell. So now let's be in my business for a minute with sales. So if I say to our sales department, sell stuff. And then I get my reports back and I go, well, okay, we're selling stuff, but we're losing money. It's like a grocery store. If all the grocery stores did was sell 2% milk, if they sold more 2% milk than any other store in the whole world, they will go out of business so fast because they're selling the 2% milk at a loss. And you'll notice every single store, milk is in the back corner from the door. It is the furthest thing from the entrance. And actually you'll notice that anything sort of natural, right? So fruits and vegetables, eggs, milk, even bread, those are kind of on the outlier sides. And you have to walk down all these aisles and past all these displays to get to milk. And everybody's going to buy milk or milk substitute. Maybe you want oat milk these days, but whatever. They're all in the back. And you've got to walk past all this high margin junk in the aisles to get to the milk. And even if you're super disciplined, you'll buy the milk, store just lost money, and I need cereal. Oh, great margin. Okay, good. We're okay. We made money. Or maybe you'll get a Snickers bar and a Diet Coke, and you'll pick up a bundle of flowers for your spouse or whatever. And then the store's making money. So you'll notice they force you, it's a casino. To get to the hotel, to get to the elevator for your room, you've got to go through the casino. They want you to gamble. They don't want you to sleep. They want you to gamble, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing in your business. We've got to say, all right, sales rep. Yes, we're going to use milk as our loss leader. We're going to use, right now we're doing a thing, this beneficial ownership information requirement by FinCEN is now like upon people. They've got to have this done by the end of the year. right? And it's a big penalty. Prison time, $10,000 up to $10,000 per company in fines, $590 a day, up to $10,000. Plus criminal penalties, jail time, 2 years in prison. FinCEN has the right to take you to court and put you in prison. Remember, it's the financial crimes enforcement, right? That's FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Network, is that what the N? What is it at the end? Or department? Anyway, it's the financial crimes. So we're using BOI urgency as a loss leader to get into conversations with people we haven't talked to before. So we lose money. If we do your BOI filing for you, we're losing money on that time we're putting in. However, there's an opportunity to ask, well, how many companies do you have? I have 3. Oh, what do they do? Well, this one is my operating business, and these 2 are LLCs that own real estate in different states. Oh, okay, cool. Let's get that BOI stuff done. Okay. Oh, you're the beneficial owner. Who's doing your corporate minutes? What do you mean corporate minutes? I'm just the only owner. Well, who's on your board? I don't have a board. You do have a board. You just don't know it. You're the board. We can have a conversation, and then all of a sudden we have opportunities to say, hey, did you know there are these other things that are equally critical as the BOI? We provide this for thousands of people. It's all done for you. Would you like to talk about that? And then there's a good chance that as I send them back to get the BOI milk, they're going to go through the corporate veil protection, or they're going to want to talk about a greater asset protection plan, or can somebody review my taxes? Or I'd love it if somebody would be answering the phone for me or taking my mail because I'm a long haul truck driver. I mean, all of a sudden, all this stuff in the aisles becomes available, they become aware of it because they needed the milk, they needed the BOI, and we lead them through it. So I need my salespeople to know the BOI is not the outcome. The BOI is the foot in the door. And if we sell more LLCs than anybody else, we go out of business because it's such a thin margin. It's a commodity like milk, like bread. But our differentiators, our events, the Unshackled Owner course, the Inner Circle Mastermind, our headquarters program, the Rockefeller strategy, all these other things we do kind of separate us from other people. So if I say, look, I'm going to incentivize you to sell more corporate veil protection, doing minutes and resolutions. I'm going to incentivize you to at least tee up a Rockefeller call, the Rockefeller Trust, for maybe somebody further up the road than you, up the ladder than you, but tee it up. And if they become a customer, you're going to get paid. Because then all of a sudden we're dealing with things that make stickier clients. They give us longer lifetime value of a client. Because once you put everything in these trusts and these companies and we're managing it all, the odds of you leaving us are low. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients who've been with us since the 80s, 40 years, because we provided something for them. We manage it well for them. They don't have to think much about it. They've put millions of dollars of value in it. They're not going to stop. So specificity, getting clear on what we're trying to sell as a company. Yeah, we want to do it with integrity. We want to serve the customer, but we are in business to make money. We're not in business to just be nice. We're in business to be making money and be in integrity, be nice, give them a little bit more than they bargained for, exceed expectations, but always make a profit. That's the reason. If you want to become unshackled, there's got to be enough profit to hire a good enough team and empower that team and watch them long enough so that then I can stand back like I do now and benefit from the fruits of what they're doing, because I got really explicit and specific with everybody about here's the goal, and here's all of your part in achieving the goal. And if we decide that we need to, as we get close to the goal's not exactly right, we're going to shift the target. I got to get everybody, marketing, sales, operations, finance, customer service. I got to get everybody in alignment towards the slightly different goal, and then get back and let all these smart people do the work that gets us to the goal. And my job is to be way up here outside of the weeds and notice what's going on and try to intercept problems before they happen. No different than, my ancestors, the Youngs, came over on as pioneers in covered wagons. They rode a train as far as Nebraska and then pulled or were in a wagon train to Utah. And there were always scouts, even on these roads that were well known. And the scout would go ahead of the hundreds of people in the wagon train and go, "Oh, the creek is high. We can't cross it here." Or, "Ooh, the bridge is out. We need to find another way around." Or they would anticipate the problem before the big train got to it and then figure out what's a good solution for this and then be able to redirect the big, giant moving thing into a place where it would have the greatest chance of successfully getting beyond that obstacle. And that's what the chairman of the board does. And the way I've been able to live the life that I do and the way you described it at the introduction is by spending way more time as the scout and almost no time as the wagon master, dealing with everything going on with the people in the dust, with the chaos, with the drama, with the broken axle, with the sick child. No. I'm up here going, how do we make the big machine move to where we want it to go? And when you get to that point, not only do you have more time, but you get to have brain space for other things that have nothing to do with the urgency inside the company and has everything to do with what's happening in the world. And because I'm aware of it, I can now use that in our marketing. I can use that as a joint venture. I can take advantage of that technology because I have space in my brain and in my day to explore the best route to get us to where we're trying to go. So why do I talk about specificity? Because specificity it's the reason we use GPS instead of just following the sun, right? Or the stars. GPS will tell us exactly where to go and not generally where to go. Generally, you might get there, but you're going, Columbus didn't get to India, right? He got to the Caribbean and he got somewhere cool. Everybody was happy he got there. We're all benefactors of that, or beneficiaries of that. But beneficiaries of that. But he didn't get where he really wanted to go. He was trying to do something. He did something, but it wasn't what he wanted to do. So if you want to get to where you want to go, you use GPS. You don't just kind of wing it. And almost all business owners suffer because they're mostly just winging it.
So the proverbial working on your business versus in your business, and that working on the business is coming up with specifics as you grow from person to person or even from project to project. And is that something that I don't know. I'm thinking of the book E-Myth Revisited.
Yeah.
And how many people are they're so caught up in what they're doing, they're unable to see what's happening tomorrow, let alone what's happening next month. And it becomes such a nightmare that they get to the point where all they want to do is get out of it. They want to be done with it. And that is not what accumulating wealth. It might be accumulating some wealth, but it's far from enjoying wealth that we talk about. What would you say are probably three lessons you would say that you would give to people about how to enjoy wealth?
Okay. The first one is I noticed that old money, people who've had generational wealth, they buy nice things and then they take good care of them. And new wealth just likes to just spend money and buy all the clothes and buy the jewelry and buy the expensive watch and get the supercar and get the big house with the big mortgage, and they burn through their money. I was talking to Damon John one time, and he said he said, I made about $30 million, 35, I think he said 30 or 35 million, when he sold FUBU. And he said, you have no idea how fast you can burn through 30 million bucks by flying private back and forth across the country every week. He thought the money was endless, and he burned through it, and he was broke again, had to rebuild it. He had a big name, so it was easier to rebuild on his name, but he burned through his first fortune. Wealth, long-term wealth, is a steward of the stuff. They take care of the car. They take care of the land. They take care of the business. They buy quality clothes that will last longer. They'll get more value per wear, right? They tend to not be flashy, but you go and you can just feel this sort of air of significance or value, or because everything is sort of, again, dialed in a great way. And it feels warm, usually. So part of the way I see to enjoy wealth is to do things that make your life valuable or I'm saying comfortable more than valuable. Make your life comfortable over long term. Because if I buy really quality shoes and I spend $800 on a pair of Church's shoes, custom made for my foot, right? Whatever the rise and fall of my personal wealth is over time, it only costs me a very little bit of money to resole that shoe, right? And it's going to be quality for 30 years, 40 years, unless I ruin it somehow, if I dump paint on it or something. But if I buy something good, it will, and I take care of it, it will last a long time, and it will always feel better than your $250 Nordstrom shoes, way better than your Payless shoes. It'll always feel great because it was made for me, but I bought something good and I took care of it. And that's the same. Warren Buffett still lives in that same house he's had since the 1950s. And I bet you he's upgraded the light bulbs and the fixtures. And I bet he's upgraded the carpet, and it's got a better air conditioning system. But he lives there because how many places do you really need to live if you just work right there in Omaha? You're not going living on the Riviera somewhere. So he's got a good home, a nice home, but not a mansion, not a statement to the world. I noticed this house, 2 houses ago was 7,000 square foot house. Then that's the one we had to short sell during the crash. And we leased and ended up buying a 5,000 square foot house on 25 acres. And it was a great house. And we got it because of the crash as well. So we bought it cheap, but we leased it and then we bought it. 5,000 feet. We sold that 2 years ago, and we just moved to our beach house, just where I'm sitting right now. This is a 3,200 square foot house. There's 3 levels. Basically, the only thing we use the middle level for is this office and the laundry room. The other bedrooms, which we wanted when we had kids at home, when we built this house back in 2002, this was a family house, but now it's just a husband and wife house. So where do we live? We have a bedroom. We've converted we have 2 suites up on the top floor. One's our bedroom. One we converted into my wife's dressing room. So she's got dressers, couch, vanity, all kinds of stuff in there. 2 bathrooms. So she uses that bathroom. I use the other bathroom. And we have the great room, which has this unbelievable view of the beach, of the ocean out of 3 walls. It's fabulous. That's all we use. We use a third, not, maybe slightly more than a third of the house. And we take great care of it. We spent a little over $100,000 on a remodel a couple of years ago and brought it up to our level. But I've still, my payment on this house is like $2,000 a month. I built it in 2002. I refinanced a little bit to do a thing. I added a little bit of debt because I can write off the interest. Why not do it? Use somebody else's money besides mine. And I pay almost nothing for this house. I make as much in 1 hour on a phone call as it costs me to make my house payment every month. I get $2,000 an hour to get on the phone with somebody. That's about what it pays for my PITI on this house. I would be a fool to get rid of this and go on a spending spree with the equity and then try to replace it, because it would cost me $1.5 million to replace it.
So some of that, what you're saying is, I mean, in the event I can summarize it, is enjoying your wealth. And to truly enjoy your wealth, you need to have longer term thinking, right? Whether you want shoes that'll last 20 years versus 6 months, have a house that's going to be good for you for a long term. And I also want to bring in the fact that you're planning for that from the get-go, right? And some of the things you teach is you talk about having structures, culture, if you will, not only in your business but also within the family, so that the kids grow up, or the children grow up, and you say they understand what it took to get there. They understand the culture, why it's so valuable, and it's going to be easily passed on to the next generation for the fact they've already come up to speed. They already know what it is. There's already a mentality of thinking, and you've dropped the name Rockefeller, but you use structures so that you're not a target. You're starting to become anonymous and can control things versus owning things.
Yes.
And that's where it's at. But part of that is just simply taking the time that entrepreneurs don't think they have to get specific.
Yeah.
Get specific about what you want, where you're going, how it's going to look, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So let me add one thing to that, because I know we're probably up at close to time. But let me say this, because you mentioned culture in business, culture in family, which is right. Now, my wife taught me something so valuable, and it's just reverberated out in everything I do in my life. And she said this to me years ago. I grew up in a family with a lot of traditions. They were fun traditions for us. There were things we put out, or songs that we sang, and ways that we did things, and places that we went throughout my growing up years. There were these very embedded traditions. And my wife, somewhere early in our marriage, wanted to introduce something similar to, but different from, what I was used to. Whereas I thought, hey, the way I grew up was great. Let's just keep doing it. Right. And we noticed that there was some level of friction, a little bit, not bad, not fighting, not financial problem, just like it's a little bit difficult sometimes to keep that one tradition going. And here's what my wife said. She said, traditions. So think about this for your family or for your business. She said, because you could insert the word culture to where I'm going to use tradition. Traditions need to be for the people, not the people for the traditions. The traditions need to serve the people, not the people serving the tradition. So if you're locked into a way of doing something in your business and it's not exactly working the way it used to, it's not getting the same result, but you go, but this is how we do it. This is who we are. You will probably see yourself starting to decline. Whereas if you go, okay, this isn't really working. We're not meeting the people where they are anymore. We're not thinking about what's the goal of the tradition, not how we do it, but why do we do it? What's the purpose behind this? And go, is there another way to achieve the purpose by shifting the delivery mechanism so that it better serves the culture?
Isn't that specificity again?
It is, but it's not being locked into one thing.
Right. Yeah. Not being locked
being
into
malleable. You need to be malleable, because at some point,
let's
old things won't work anymore. Just because we always rode a horse doesn't mean that we shouldn't have gotten a car, right? I mean, it's so good that we got cars. And it's so good that we got more efficient cars and less polluting cars. And it's better that we have better tires and not just the old wooden wheels, you know? But even though certain industries had to close up in order for the new ones to grow, it's good that we shift so that we continue to deliver value to those that we have stewardship over. And whether that's our customer base or our family or any other organization we're involved in, everything we do should be to lift the group that we're trying to serve. And if we do a good job, and if we can do it not only effectively, like get a lot of customers, but do it efficiently, leave some profit over, and then do it in an organized way so it's duplicatable by others besides us, all of a sudden we have scale, we have profit, we have freedom. And that's what it means to be unshackled.
Awesome. I think we put a period right there and turn it off. Scott, I'll turn it back to you. What do you think?
No, that was great. Guys, I would highly recommend reading Aaron's book again, Unshackled. It's one of my favorites. So
thank you.
Aaron, thank you again for coming on. We'll have to do this again soon. Is there that could be your final words, but is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah. Don't, just as a general theme, I went through a really bad financial time way back, early in my career. I crashed a business into the ground. We ended up in bankruptcy court while my wife was pregnant with our second baby. I mean, it was a disaster. I was like 26 or 27. I'd sold a company, started another and built it and destroyed it. And I wondered, how am I ever going to climb out of this pit? And we've all, as entrepreneurs, been through something really, really challenging, or felt ashamed that we made a stupid choice. We can look in retrospect and see where we made the mistakes. Don't let your past define your future. I know you've heard that a million times. Most people are not thinking about you or your failures or your struggles. They're thinking about themselves and what they're trying to do today. You can learn from everything you go through, improve how you do what you're going to do next, and use the things that you thought were the worst things that were going to wipe you out. Take those things, and if people see you can rise like the phoenix from the ashes from those difficulties, all of a sudden they go, oh, maybe that person knows something I don't know. And people will listen to you. But make sure that you are always doing it in interest of your customer, in interest of your community. And as you serve them, you will become wealthy as you serve more people. We've all heard it. It's nothing new. I didn't invent that, but it's true. Serve more people, do a little bit more than they expect, charge a fair price, exceed expectations. You'll get rich and you'll become financially and time free.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, Aaron, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Guys, if you'd like to connect with Aaron or get his book, we will put all the links in the show notes down below. If you'd like to connect with Jason or I, again, our links are in the show notes down below. And if you like this episode, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Really helps us out with those algorithms. Last, remember that mastering your millions all starts with your mind and your team. Make sure they are the best. We will catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to Master Your Millions with Jason and Scott Henderson. Check the show notes for any links or contact information about today's guest. Make sure to follow the show so you don't miss any future episodes.